Hi everyone, I am back again, and today I'm going to be going over the synastry chart between Zendaya and Tom Holland. Now I don't have his birth time, so I can't get the full picture of what goes on between the two of them. But the first thing I noticed in their chart is that his Chiron conjuncts her North Node and her Chiron conjuncts his North Node. And this is interesting to me because I've never seen this before. And I'm not really a big fan of Chiron. I've seen it blow up many, many times between two people in their synastry charts. And with Chiron, if you want healing, there's going to be pain somewhere along the line. And in this case, I had to put in a bunch of different asteroids to see where this was going as far as either pain in the relationship for both of them and healing as well. So, his Chiron, Boda, Aeschylus, and Grieve conjuncts her North Node. So I think this is going to show up after they get married, and it's going to be one of the themes in the relationship because I've explained before, whatever conjuncts your North Node from the other person, that's going to show up very strongly and can be a very strong theme in the relationship between the two of you. So Boda has to do with marriage. And then there's Aeschylus there and Grieve, and that has to do with tragedy and a grief of some sort. Now, her North Node conjuncts the asteroids Grimm and Nephthys, and Grimm has to do with fantasy. So in her life, a lot of her energy is centered around the fantasy and also, the arts, because she is an entertainer. And Nephthys has to do with, Nephthys was an Egyptian goddess with associated with death and rebirth energies, but she also had magician-like healing powers. So this could tie into Chiron being a healer. Now her Apollo, Chiron and Groom conjuncts his North Node. So now we're going back to Boda, which has to do with marriage. So there's a validation here that somewhere along the line, after they get married, there's going to be, like I said, some sort of grief, tragedy, or pain and healing, because her Nephthys is conjuncting her North Node, but her Apollo is conjuncting his North Node along with Chiron and Groom. And Groom, there's that validation with Boda. And Apollo has to do with God of beauty and the arts. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I had to go further to see what else I could come up with. Now his Groom, Lust, Ganymede, Grimm, and Angel conjuncts her vertex in the seventh house, and the seventh house rules committed relationships. And Groom, that's self-explanatory, and Lust is there. So he lusted after her, and there's a fantasy about it due to Grimm, and the Angel is really a nice asteroid because it has to do with, it's like a best friend's aspect and a heaven-sent quality to the energy. But Ganymede is there, and that is strongly associated with being gay. Now, I don't know what his sexual preferences are. I mean, obviously he's getting married to Zendaya, but, in the music, not only in the music industry, but in the entertainment industry, there's a lot of bisexuality, and the sexual preferences sometimes are hidden, and whoever has these sexual preferences, it doesn't come out in the open. So there's a possibility here that maybe he has dated other men or has been with other men, and that will come into the relationship somehow. So if anybody knows, let me know. The only way for me to validate that is to look at his birth chart, and like I said, I don't have his birth time. Now, his Reiki and Astarte conjuncts her descendant, and the descendant is a very important angle. So whatever conjuncts your descendant from the other person, these energies will come to you. And Reiki has to do with healing, and so does Astarte. Both of these together have a healing energy to it. Now, Astarte can also mean blow-ups and arguments, but in this case, since Astarte is holding hands with Reiki, that would mean healing, because Astarte came down from the heavens and she had magical healing abilities as well. Now, his Asclepius, Utopia, conjuncts her Venus and Mars. And Asclepius has to do with emotional and physical healing. So now again, there's more healing energies here. And it's conjuncting her love planet and Mars, which brings fire and power to this. Utopia is there. So this can mean that everything seems perfect in the relationship, and there can be an imagined state between the two of them in some way. But that would coincide with, they have a Venus square Neptune aspect and a Venus quincunx Neptune aspect in their chart. So there's fantasy and illusion here that would coincide with the Utopia, his Utopia conjuncting Venus, her Venus and Mars. Very interesting. Rose-colored glasses, not seeing each other for what they really are. And most of these energies usually show up after you spend a lot of time together, you get married, and you're living under the same roof. Now this next dynamic is, I've seen this before, especially with someone in my own family, so I can attest that I've experienced this. And some people might get mad at me and say, oh no, she's not like that. But I'm going to go over it anyway. Her lie and Tantalus conjuncts her sun natally in her chart. When you have lie conjuncting your sun, this means that you can be a liar. And Tantalus has to do with things being out of reach. You can't quite get to, it's like going into an orchard and seeing a piece of fruit hanging off a tree and you can't quite reach it because your arm isn't long enough, or you have to get a step stool, that sort of thing going on. So she can be this type of person that doesn't tell the truth all of the time and is out of reach, mysterious in a sort of way. Now, his Mercury conjuncts her swindle, and swindle has to do with lying, cheating, not being forthcoming, deception. That would coincide with Venus squaring Neptune and the quincunx between Venus and Neptune as well. And his Mercury is conjuncting her swindle. So I think he will say to her, why did you not tell me the truth? Why did you lie about this? Why are you not being forthcoming? Because Mercury is a thinking and talking planet. So that's all I have to say about that. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out between the two of them after they get married. And these dynamics can take a while to show up. It depends really on each relationship. It doesn't play out exactly the same way or in the same time frame is what I meant. Now, his Luhai conjuncts her IC, and that has to do with magical qualities. And his Hermione conjuncts her moon, 0 degrees. Hermione, like waving a magic wand, like in the Harry Potter movie. So he has spellbinding effects on her, and he has this angelic quality that she really loves because of his angel conjuncting her vertex in the 7th house, like I explained before. Now, her Juno, Alceste, conjuncts his south node, and Juno has to do with marriage, and Alceste is the strong devotion towards her man. So there's going to be a very strong devotion from her in the marriage, and he's going to be accepting of these energies, and he knows that that's how it's going to be from her towards him. And they may have been married in a past life because her Juno is also conjuncting his south node. So she's going to be devoted, I think. Now, on his part, her Jupiter conjuncts his Zeus. That has to do with cheating. I cannot validate if that would happen because I don't have the time of his birth. If I did, I could come out and give you pretty much a very good indication if that would happen. But I'm only seeing one aspect here. So I'm going to say it's a possibility, but I'm not really sure. And now his Ishtar conjuncts her ascendant, and that has to do with arguments and blow-ups. But then again, every couple argues. So that's all I have. Well, there's a planetary aspect here that's important, I think. His moon squares her Uranus. No, I'm sorry, her moon squares his Uranus, 2 degrees. And that starts out as an exciting attraction in an unconventional sort of way due to Uranus. But there's the moon involved here, and this can settle into an emotional distance between two people. Unreliable, not being there when you really need them. And they don't have any moon aspects between the two of them. Even without his birth time, they don't. And I think that the moon, having moon connections between two people is really important, unless you have a lot of other planetary aspects that can really back it up. Venus conjuncting moon would be a really good one. I did not see that. And now they have Neptune trine Mercury, double whammy between the two of them. And this is classic for finishing each other's sentences. They both have similar appreciation for the arts and spiritual types, a spiritual type of fantasy. And this would make sense because of Grimm conjuncting her vertex, Grimm conjuncting her north node, and her Apollo conjuncting his north node. So this ties in all together with the Neptune trine Mercury double whammy. So that's actually really nice. So I wish both of them luck, and I hope you enjoyed this interpretation. And if you have any other synastry charts that you would like to recommend, leave it in the comment box. And if you would like a synastry chart done, I'm available. So send me an email if you're interested. And have a nice day.